Good day, good day, good day. I love that little beat right there. I am Yonder. I'm in for my man Reggie for Urban Centennial. Today I have a special guest. This guy is so special. Let me tell you who I'm bringing up. Let me just give you his bio first. He's a native of South Carolina. He was raised in Miami. He is a graduate of the University of Florida. He earned a degree in economics. He's been in the financial industry for 3 decades and is a proud owner of Stan Harrison Insurance Agency. He's a father. He's a brother. He's a husband. And he's also a great author and runs numerous charities and on board of numerous charities. Without further ado, I give you my friend, my brother, my cousin, Stan Harrison.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good evening. Good day, brother. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, brother. It's great spending some time with you, man. It's been a minute, right?
Man, and we got to do dinner, me, you, the wife, and we got to do dinner, do something. We got to catch up, man. We have to catch up. You one of the people that always feed my soul, man.
Well, that's what it's about, brother. We have to learn to be like iron. We have to sharpen each other.
Got to sharpen each other. I want to go different ways in this. This is called Conversation with Friends because I consider everybody my friend, but I consider you one of my closest friends.
I
We're
appreciate
gonna do first. We're gonna start on what you do first. Tell us let me let you guys know. Stan is not just an insurance agent. Stan owns the company. Stan owns the company. Tell us about your version of State Farm, Stan.
Well, my version of State Farm is very different than most because I had the ability to learn the inner workings of the company before becoming an agent in the claims department, in the administration department, in the investment department, in the managerial side of the business. So I was able to learn the things that are most difficult to grasp before I actually came out and became an agent. So I must say that I was very fortunate that I had those what we call career paths that led me to where I am today. So the things that are difficult for most are very, very easy for me, simply because I had some great mentors, some great managers, some great leaders, and some people that really looked out for me. So my vision is very different. I consider myself an investor first. And I was speaking with a client this morning about that. And the first thing he asked is, I thought you were an insurance guy. Why are you talking to me about my investments? I said, first, I'm an investor. Secondly, I'm an insurance guy. I'm an insurance guy by default, but an investor by choice.
Okay, well tell us, because we see the 500 commercials on TV every day. Tell us why we need insurance, Stan.
Well, you need insurance for, the three major things. Number one, just in case something happens. And I know that Chris Rock does a great job in one of his movies about in case something happens. He uses some different choice words with that. But you need insurance to basically balance the risk, what we call the risk of everyday life. Every day we face risk. So how do you afford those risks? Most people don't have a bankroll to take care of buying a new car and in case the vehicle is involved in an accident. Most people can't pay $1 million if they were sued. Most people cannot replace their home or rebuild their home if their home were to catch fire or if their home were to be damaged by a tornado, hurricane, hailstorm, or what have you. And most people cannot recover from the death of a loved one, not to mention a disability or a health scare or health situation. So these are things that happens every day. They're not scripted. They're not planned. They are what we call the things that happen in our lives. And unless you have a bankroll available to take care of those things, that's why insurance is necessary to make sure that you're prepared for those things that will occur. Again, not things that are scripted, not things that are planned, but things that will occur.
Okay, cool. Okay. Cause so let me break down something you just said. You said they just in case. And because you might get sued, you gotta have insurance for your home or your apartment, wherever you live at, because you want to, if there's a fire or something goes on, somebody breaks in, that basically covers you, right?
That is correct.
And death, because you will die.
You will take your last breath eventually.
And somebody got to pay. I know that that policy for most folks bet on their death like it's not gonna happen. Or it's not gonna happen till later on. Oh, you gonna die, and you're gonna need some insurance, so you won't leave your family members trying to scrape up this money because they're not gonna bury you until you get insurance. Explain that. Explain. People don't realize that they will not bury you unless
Right.
you got insurance. Unless you can pay these people.
Unless you can pay and put up the upfront money for your funeral or your burial, most burial companies or most morticians will not proceed with the process, if you will, unless there's funds to pay for it. I know these places personally, and I go to them and I visit them on a monthly basis, and there are people just sitting there and they're just sitting there and they are just sitting there. So if you don't have the money to pay, they will just sit you there or they'll lay you there or they will take you through a process and they will leave your remains in a place hoping that a family member would come and collect. So if you do not have the funds, they will not proceed with processing your death.
Say that part again. They will not process you.
They will not process you. So they will keep you there, and a family member would have to be financially responsible enough to come in and remove your remains. They don't have to do anything. There will be no procedure, there will be no ceremony, there will be absolutely nothing. It would be as if you were not here on earth if there are no funds available to proceed with the procedure, if you will.
I hope my audience hears this. I mean, because I do a whole lot of conversations with friends, and this is one of the things we never talk about is death. That this will happen. Someone will die. Someone you need life insurance. You need to take care of this. Okay, well let me throw something else out that you're saying. Car insurance.
Yes, sir.
Okay, express the need for car insurance.
So if you drive a motor vehicle, and we live in the great state of Florida, where on I-4, the road that you and I connect, it is the deadliest and one of the busiest highways in America. In fact, it in on that road, there are more accidents on that road than any road in the state in the United States.
Mm,
There are multiple deaths on a daily basis. And the reason why that road is so dangerous is because there's a lot of tourists that come into town from all over the country, from all over the world, because everyone wants to see the Disney World Plaza. And
yes.
between you and I sits the Disney World Adventureland, if you will. So there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of people looking. There's a lot of distractions on the road. People looking at their cell phones and putting on makeup and trying to look pretty. But the reality is that accidents do happen each and every day. There's a lot of people that are involved in accidents every day. In fact, my company in particular, we handle nearly 50,000 vehicle accidents per day.
Woo.
Let me restate that. 50,000 vehicle accidents per day, and that's on average. So there are some days that we're a little bit higher and some days a little bit lower. This number is up from 5 years ago. 5 years ago, around 20, before what I call pre-COVID, we averaged 35 to 37,000 accidents per day. After COVID, now we're up to the 50,000 mark. So it is important to protect not only or have coverage from your insurance, not only for your vehicle, but it is also equally important to have liability insurance to make sure that if you are in fact at fault for that accident, the other person cannot sue you for the other assets that you have available to you. So your insurance is designed to protect you and your assets from being sued, number one. And number two, to help you recover and help you purchase a new vehicle if your vehicle is damaged or repair your vehicle should it be damaged or totaled in that car accident.
Okay. What I try to do, Stan, also on my show is give out not just your social media stuff, but I know you have business account, business information. Can you give us your website or information? Because usually folks do this at the end and no one can get it, and they be like, "What was that?" Give your stuff out right now, Stan. Give
All
out
right.
your information right now so folks can get in contact with you to get insured.
So the easiest way to communicate with me is through phone. My office number is 386 427 5277. I'll repeat, 386 427 5277. And you can go on my website, which is stantheinsuranceman.net. Again, that's me, stantheinsuranceman.net.
Hey, hey, definitely Yonder and Stan just popped in for a hot second and everything like that. One of the things that I know about insurance, because I've got friends in the insurance business, is it plays a real deep role in our economy, meaning that of the African American and other minority communities. Because I'm here in Durham, North Carolina, which is the home of North Carolina Mutual and the home of Black Wall Street, or one of the several Black Wall Streets. So I just wondered if you could speak to the importance of insurance specifically to the minority community and the rise of the Black Wall Streets historically.
That's a very good question. And as a young man, I can speak to being a young man and watching the insurance man in our neighborhood. I grew up in a small town called Miami-Dade County, and I would watch the agents come through the neighborhoods and do what is called debit insurance.
Right.
But one of the things in particular about the insurance business is that we have known, and in our community in particular, we have known that we have often been discriminated against when it comes down to what we call quality or grade A insurance companies. Typically, we would receive, just like I mentioned before, the debit companies. Those are the ones that we would purchase life insurance on. You know, grandma and grandpa would spend 50 cents to a dollar and buy that $500 policy that never increased in value over the years. So there are a number of companies that were formulated. In fact, one as close to us here in Jacksonville, Florida, in Amelia Island, was also formed to serve the African American community. There was a portion of Gulf Life that was designed to serve the African American community. So if you look around the diaspora, the African American diaspora in America, you will find a significant number of Black owned insurance companies. And being a Black agent here in a place that typically has never had a Black agent, I must say that the road is still an uphill battle.
Right.
So it still is an educational feat. It's a psychological feat. It's an emotional feat, and of course, it's an economic feat. So there's a number of things that will go into any agent that participates in this business because let's face it, we're in the people business right now. So it has gone from just serving the African American community to serving the people in the community at large.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Gary, turn it back over to you and Yonder. But I did have to tease you about one other thing. You mentioned that you grew up in Miami, and I remember because I used to go down to the film festival that is held there, still in Miami regularly, the ABFF, and all along that, the American Black Film Festival. But I did know that there was a lot of stereotypes around Liberty City and some of the areas around Miami. So I just wondered if you could speak to that because I know a lot of people still think of Liberty City as being quote unquote the ghetto, even though I understand there's been some major improvements in that area. But I was wondering if you could just speak to that.
Well, I can speak to it because I lived it. I
Right.
was one of the kids that grew up during the McDuffie riots. I was there doing all of that, you know, uproar and upheaval. And Liberty City has traditionally been an African American community. That has been the case up until about 7 or 8 years ago, where that community is now has been transformed. Miami in particular has transformed and has turned over once again because we know that the Miami community is a transient community and certain segments of that population do transfer and it has transitioned once again. It's almost like a transitionary period where the original folks there began to move north and that trek has continued where folks from our even most southern island have moved up and they inhabitate a certain area and a certain community and that those communities continue to move and they transition northward to, believe it or not, to where I am today.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna turn it back over to you and Yonder, but yeah, I was just curious about that because when I heard the Liberty City, I do remember those days having got my studies in journalism back in the '80s and other times that was the time that a lot of that was going on and everything like that. So
Oh
I'll
yeah,
turn it back over to you and Yonder.
appreciate it.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, but you're right with the transformation of the cities because it's the gentrification is real.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, most
Gentrification is real. I'm from DC, and the gentrification is real. My hometown, as I call it, Southeast DC, is pieces of it are still that, but several parts of it. They renamed pieces of DC. They took the name of neighborhoods off. My old neighborhood I grew up in, Berry Farms, is no longer there. It's there, but it's not for us anymore.
Correct.
It
Correct.
is not for us anymore.
Right.
Okay, look, we're gonna get political because look, we're trying to stay on the air. Okay.
We say we're gonna keep your
Look,
FCC license, huh?
we trying to stay on the air. Okay. I
There you go.
know of some numerous things that you do. I know you do a church, you fishing with young men. Tell us about that.
So my academic angler fishing program is one that we've been involved in for approximately 2 decades almost. What we do is we allow children in the community and children in every community to come and join us. We teach them all the aspects of fishing, and our mission is to get more kids fishing more often. And the reason why we use fishing as a platform is because if I teach a person to fish, they're going to feed themselves for a lifetime, as opposed to me giving them a fish in which they're only able to eat for one meal.
That's
So
Bible right there.
there you go, all day, every day. So it's a proverb that we've used, and we've been very successful. Not only has fishing taught basic skills to children, but it has also transitioned to adults, where now the adults now see the children learning these skill sets, and they want to participate. So we've been more than happy to create programs for adults as well. But our program is principally designed to provide an educational program and a real-time hands-on experience where we teach the children all the aspects of fishing: knot tying, casting, what we call deep drop. We teach them how to put on and how to preserve themselves in terms of a disaster. We teach them how to put on what we call PFD, personal flotation devices. All of our children are required to wear personal flotation devices throughout the entire program. We give them their entire equipment setup. We give them fishing poles, tackle boxes, hats, you name it. We give them instructional books. And then we take them out deep sea fishing. We take them out where they can no longer see land. We want them to have the experience of knowing that no matter how far you go, you're still connected. And whatever they catch that's legal, they're able to take it home after we clean it, we process it, we allow the children to take their catch home, and they're able to feed their families. What happens with that is we equip them with the book knowledge. We then also equip them with the ability to take that knowledge and put it into practice. And then we give them the equipment. So we do what we call the tertiary approach. We give them everything that they need to be successful. So there are no more excuses. I don't have a fishing pole. Yes, you do. I don't have the equipment. I don't know how to tie knots. Yes, you do. I don't know where to go. Yes, you do. We even partner with companies. One company in particular that I'm very proud to say that have been wonderful partners of ours. They're called Fish Bites. They're out of St. Augustine here in Florida. They actually provide artificial bait for the children as well. So now the children, not only do they have the experience, the book knowledge, the equipment, but that we also equip them with bait. So they have everything that they need in order to go and catch fish for the rest of their lives.
Okay, I was at a meeting today at my church with the pastor and everybody. He does a meeting twice a month with businesses and everything, and he tells you how to get to the next level in your business. And that's one of the things he said that he's been doing, and that's why we've been blessed. He said once he started doing the feeding part of church, he feeding God's people. He said, and the flow never stopped. So that's why you're so prosperous. He said, once you dig into the part of working with God and start feeding his people, he'll always feed you.
You know, Yana, that's a great point. This organization was actually started before I did not start the organization. The organization was started by ex NFL players, ex um, what we call presidents of universities, and these guys were tournament fishermen. They were some of the first black tournament fishermen in America.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like I'm among giants, and I did a video about 5 years ago. My wife assisted me in creating a video that's currently on YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel, and our program is called Academic Anglers. So if you
Mm-hmm.
type in Academic Anglers on YouTube, you'll find a number of our videos. You'll find some voiceovers that we've done, and you'll see a little bit about our program. So our program is specifically designed for kids. So our program is called the Children's Fishing Clinic, and that's what we utilize as our backdrop of our program. And I have to agree with you because my best friend and I wanted to do something to enhance our community, not just by giving them something, but we wanted to give them something that can be everlasting and something they would never forget. So we did a little research, and the program already existed. We call the number that was on the website, and we were invited to come up, and we have some stories. And from that one meeting, we have blossomed the program. We've expanded the program. The program was only in one city in Florida. We've expanded the program now to serve three cities in Florida:
Oh, good.
Miami, Melbourne, and now Volusia County. And we're looking to expand the program your way yonder in the Tampa area as well. So we have a trip next month to come out and take a look at some marinas and take a look at some of the areas over there so that we can get those children involved as well. My dream is to not only have enough money to fund the program into perpetuity, but to also have every major city in Florida that has access to what we call a large capacity drift boat that we can utilize, and we can rotate the program throughout the year so the children we have experience in different water streams, if you will. So the Gulf, down in the Keys, and on the Atlantic side as well. So we want the kids to have a varied awareness of the different species and to be able to pass this information because we know each one teaches one. So this is my contribution to society to make sure that we teach what my grandfather taught me, because that's how it all started. I was so wanting to be with my granddad, and there's some stories that I've written about how he would make sure that I dug worms so that I'll be prepared to go fishing
To
that
go fishing.
afternoon. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
right.
Got to go fishing. Hey,
Got
Stan, is there any possibility that you can bring that to North Carolina and everything? And I've actually got to correct y'all about something that you said earlier because I am in regular touch with them, and Reggie knows this as well. Yonder does not know this, but the Broad TV network is founded by my good friends Nick Palveda and Kim Calhoun. So they actually come out of the other society, the white society, and all along those lines. But they actually don't mind political conversation. As a matter of fact, they encourage political conversation and everything like that. So they actually don't mind politics and everything along those lines because they are actually big fans of it, and it's actually something that they talk about on a lot of their shows. And I am somewhat of the de facto program director for them. So if it's okay with you, and if it's okay with your coworkers and everything, I would love to bring, and I can go find it on the videos, some of those videos of the anglers to the Pod TV network and everything like that. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to grab some of those and put them on our platform as well. So if I have that permission, I will do that. And it might be up there as early as the next day or two. So I didn't know if that was okay with you, and if we can also possibly expand to
yes.
North Carolina.
Absolutely. In fact, when I was in Kansas City, we were able to expand the program to Kansas City, and we also expanded a portion of our program for a one particular community in Oklahoma City, in Edmond in particular. So there was some freshwater lakes that we were able to stock and involve the children in that neighborhood. So everywhere we go as anglers, we bring the idea with us, and we take extra fishing rods. Any kid that comes to my house know that they're going to leave with a fishing rod, and they're going to leave with some experiences because we're going to teach them. Everybody that comes to the house know that that's what they're going to learn when they come see Uncle Stan.
Yeah, well, speaking of Uncle Sam, the one thing that I got to say about fishing, because I have property on family property that my like on my mom's land, and definitely on some of the land that her parents owned and everything that has ponds and stuff like that. My brother is got a certain skills that fishermen have to have. Authors have to have it as well, Yonder, and everything. I don't always have that skill set and everything. So, what do you do for folks that are what we call impatient? Because you got to be patient to catch a fish and everything like that. Because those fish don't always want to catch the worm when you want them to catch the worm. And sometimes you got to have that skill set of patience. So, how do you handle that? And what do you do with folks like me that can sometimes be a little impatient and don't want to stay out there all day long on the pier, hoping that the fish will bite, knowing that sometimes the fish won't bite?
That's a great question, and you bring me to a individual scenario that I had with a young man that he had. I didn't realize this at the time, but his grandmother came to me and said, "Hey, my grandson wants to go fishing, but no one will take him. He's uncomfortable in crowds. He can't be on the boat." She knew what I did, and so she just asked, "Is there any way that you can help him go fishing?" And I said, "Of course." We Another member of our organization, we discussed, just doing a what we call a land program for him where he didn't have to go on the boat. So what I did was I did a little scouting. So I found the fish in one or two particular areas. So I got the fish baited up so that by the time he arrived, his grandmother brought him, but by the time he saw me on the water, I had a fish on. So he was able to reel that fish in, and because of the activity, and if when you learn fishing, you learn that fish have a tendency of getting into a frenzy. And once they get into that frenzy, it's a nonstop situation until what we call the barometric pressure changes or something condition wise changes. So in this particular afternoon, he was able to catch 6 fish within a 20-minute period. And because this is his first time, and because he was a 10-year-old young man, we wanted to keep the bite and the activities going so that he would never get bored, because that's the one thing that we pride ourselves on, make sure that every kid catches a fish. So we use some techniques when we're deep sea. So we use this idea called a sabiki. So the board members are mandated to bring sabikis to make sure that the kids are never bored and that there's always a catch going on. So we know what we're doing, so we keep the activity going.
Sounds good. I might have to try to get on there with y'all and see if I can catch some fish, because I know a
There
couple of
you go.
times I've been out there and I've been like, these fish are not biting.
Yes,
Hey,
they
hey,
will.
Mark,
It's all about the
Mark,
presentation, Mark.
and let me talk about the patient side, Mark. That was actually my father brought me and my brother fishing years ago when we were younger, and that was probably the best part of it. First of all, the best part of it was about hanging out with him and his buddy. Most times you don't get to hang with your father. You
That's right.
know, and it wasn't just him, and it was his buddy, and he had his buddy had kids, 2 kids with him, and me and my brother. So it was just that time that it was, of course, as children, you're told to stay out of grown people business, but we could just hear them being boys. They were talking about whatever went on the night before, wherever they'd been at, but they were talking in men talk. And it was just like, man, you don't get around, when you get around men most time, especially just being a man, it ain't always it ain't always the right words, and they ain't always talking about the right subject. They were just talking about they had hung out somewhere, they did this and did that. I just liked that. I love the camaraderie of how him and his boy was. His boy name his best friend name was Trail Boss, and that was his road dog, his ride or die.
How about
And they were just talking about whatever they did that night before, and it was just like, man, you remember such whether it was a pool hall, they went to club, whatever they did, they were so happy to talk to each other without anybody around besides the kids. And of course, we ear hustling like, what they talking about? What they talking about? And but it was you most times you don't see men are loners by nature, good or bad. We're
that's right.
loners. So most time as a man, we don't have that, like you say, iron sharpens iron. This is Bible, but it's new to modern culture. We don't
Yeah,
want to admit that most of your boys ain't your boys.
that's
Most of
it.
your friends ain't your friends. Most of your friends have been with you because you participate in different activities.
That is
And
true.
most time them activities wasn't good activities. We
That's
all
right.
had a player, we all drank, we all smoked something. We all had those friends. So they weren't really friends. They was around for whatever negativity you was getting. It's very rare to find men, like you say, iron sharpens iron. Everyone says that now, but we 50 some years old now. There was no iron sharpening iron as you was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Just going up line.
Right.
So I say this all the time. This is why men have different levels of friends and different level of men who they call. I can call you anytime. We can talk about anything, but you can't call everybody like that. So talk about that as what you're giving them, kids, right there, because you're telling them that, and then you didn't have trust levels. Come on, you didn't trust no man because your mama said don't go over there. If there was a man in the neighborhood, he usually wasn't doing the right thing.
Yanni, you bring up a very interesting point. So I'm gonna point two or three things out that I'm gonna reiterate some of the things that you said in my own words. Number one, the skill level. It's so interesting that when I began the program, I'm currently the president of Academic Anglers. I'm proud to serve as the president of this wonderful organization. When I when we started to expand branches from the Melbourne area to the Miami-Dade County area to the Volusia County area, all I have to do is send out an email, one email. And my very first opportunity in Miami, I think we had a number of 39 children,
Mm-hmm.
39. And I looked around and one of my volunteers says, "So you mean to tell me that people will just bring their children to you and drop them off for a 14-hour period?" I said, "Yes." When we came here to Volusia County, the same thing happened. I think we had a number of 42 to 43 children our very first time here. And the boat capacity is 60. So we keep the children limited because we have one volunteer for every two children. So we
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we have a good ratio to make sure that we have a careful eye for each child. But it's amazing how the trust level is automatically there. We don't have to ask, we don't have to beg. The children are here, their parents gratefully bring them. So that's one thing. So you pointed out. And on top of that, when I go to the high schools and when I'm around town and when I'm doing presentations, the children remember that's the guy that took us fishing. That's the guy that made sure that we were disciplined for the entire day. That's the guy that watched our backs. That's the guy that made sure that we learned leadership skills because they don't just learn fishing, they learn life.
Mm-hmm.
They learn how to watch each other's back. They learn how to identify. They learn how they see things that they will never see or they have never seen in their lives. They see them and they witness these things while they're on that boat and enjoying the activities that we participate or have them participate. The other thing is as men, we participate in different activities. And I'm glad you pointed that out. And you gave me a great thought process. And that is, as I was a pupil growing up, I learned very quickly that most business deals were done on the golf course.
Oh,
So
come on. Yes, yes,
so
yes.
I learned how to play golf. In fact, I started the first inner city golf program in Miami-Dade County. So I'm not a great golfer, but I can go out there and make some business deals. And just recently, I made one of the best business deals I've ever made. And believe it or not, it was right on the golf course. You mentioned that sometimes we have different people that we can call at different times, and you're absolutely right. So not only am I a fisherman, not only am I a golfer, I'm also a hunter. So there's things that you learn in each of the different areas and areas of participation. One thing I learned about hunting is that hunting, more than anything else, you learn who to trust because
Yes.
you have a firearm and the people around you have firearms, so your life is at the mercy of those people that are with you and those people that are around you, because a stray bullet, as my mother always said, a stray bullet has no name.
Has no name.
Okay, so we know that when you choose, and that's a choice that we make, and as men, and that's one of the things. I have a cousin in Carolina. He's looking to create a youth program, uh, building kids to learn how to hunt, learn these skills, learn how to wrangle cattle, learn how to identify plants and species and things along those lines. So we're going to be in the process of creating that. upward bound program, if you will, to get these young boys. We want a boys program that these kids can learn some skills and get off the computer and get off the internet, if you will. So that's one. So we learn how to do business on the golf course. We learn how to trust while we're hunting. But there's a lot of wisdom that you learn from just fishing. And thank you for mentioning just being around your dad, because that's important. It's important for young men to be able to see and emulate those ideas of what a man really is. And there's nothing like a man that can go out in the wilderness and bring home the bacon. There's nothing like it. There's no greater feeling in the world knowing that when I come home, my wife and my children are going to be happy because their bellies are going to be fed because daddy went out there and brought them something to eat.
Okay, well, tell me what do you hunt, Stan? What do you hunt and where do you hunt?
I hunt different places, and that's the benefit and the beautiful thing about having friends all over the country. So I can go to Carolina and go deer hunting. I can go to Kansas and go turkey hunting. I live on a number of acres myself, and I have deer and turkey right here in my yard. So I can pretty much go anywhere and do any different type of hunting. I have friends in Kansas. I have friends in Wyoming. I have friends in Montana. So wherever I decide to go or whatever I get invited to, I go when I have that opportunity.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna take you up on the fishing because my son brought him fishing. His papa always brought him fishing. So we've been talking about when you do the fishing thing on this side. We've been wanting to go fishing. So we're gonna take you on the fishing and also gonna take you up on the golf because I've done business deals out on the golf course, but I was coming from a whole different aspect. I was government then, so everybody needed to see me. So it wasn't that I had to make a deal. You came to me. You came to the golf tournament because you knew I was going to be there.
Hey,
That's right.
Yonder,
So,
I gotta mess with y'all since y'all brought up golf and
yeah.
everything like that, and all along those lines. Since I was actually talking to mom to some of our local politics, but my uncle who passed away not that long ago, like maybe a couple of years ago, and everything like that, he was actually a golf teacher. He had the pleasure of, and like I said, I'm in North Carolina teaching James Worthy and Michael Jordan how to play the game of golf because he knew there would be a good business deal. So he was a golf champion, like here in North Carolina, the local newspaper has like, and I'm sure they do the same in Florida, tournaments that are age broken down. So like you're
Yes.
competing against people that are in a similar 10-year age range, and he was a
Yes.
champion in that range for a number of times and everything along those lines. So definitely golf is one of those business networking things, that and tennis, but probably more even golf than tennis, but both of them are good for making some business deals. So I'm sure you've got some of your insurance clients that you go out there and play them in golf, and maybe you even let them win occasionally so that you can close the deal.
No, man, you got to spank them, brother. You
You
got
got
to
to
beat
spank them.
them. You got to beat them. That's the one thing. There's nothing like competition. We talked about iron sharpens iron. And that's the one beautiful thing about any activity that, being a man, I can only speak as a man. You learn what you're doing wrong. You learn how to improve your game each and every time you go out there. Every time I go fishing, every time I hunt, I'm always learning something. And that's the beautiful thing about participating in activities. It keeps you young, it keeps you energetic, it keeps you strong, it keeps your blood flowing, and it keeps your adventure. It's almost childlike where, you never cease to be amazed with the glorious things that God has provided to us. And that's really what it's all about, because everything that I try to do involves being grounded and being one with nature.
Hey, Stan and Yonder, even though it's not with nature because it's actually in a building, I'm guessing both of y'all, because I've tried it both in the rookie version of doing it, which is similar to putt putt in golf and everything like that. But I'm guessing both of y'all have a mean bowling game and probably like a high end bowling game and everything like that. So, how is y'all's bowling game? Because that's another sport that is a good networking sport. And I'm thinking Yonder probably is a high bowler.
I'm not a high bowler, but I get enough strikes. I bowl unorthodox. I don't bowl the regular way. I bowl with my hand down backwards, and everybody like, oh, you can't do that, and I hit their strike, and they be like, oh man, that's luck, and that's how I've been bowling all my life. So I get numerous strikes on it. So when I'm going against somebody who really can play, they be like, nah, it ain't gonna happen. And then they be like, oh, he really, then they got to change the game up. Oh, he really can play. Even though I'm laughing at how I'm unorthodox. It's like an unorthodox foul line shot. Remember the guy you shoot a foul line shot like that, but he made it every time.
Rick Barry. Rick Barry
Yeah,
was the guy that did like that. Rick
my
The
Barry.
my
grandma
my
shot.
my bowling
Yeah.
game is unorthodox. Like I said, I don't bowl. I don't do the twist. It just comes straight down the middle and boom. I got all the pins, and folks be like, "Oh, he can't do that again." I
But
can.
y'all,
That's my game. That's
but
my
yonder
game.
and Stan, I'm guessing. Come on, mention another sport that is a networking sport. I'm thinking you probably got a lot of trick shots in pool because I'm thinking maybe you got some trick shots in pool because we all
We
got.
we I can do some cuts in pool. That's one thing, you learn growing up. Some trick shots in pool. I know how to cut it. I know how to get around that eight ball. And I do a little bowling here and there. I'm a straight athlete, man. I do it
Yeah.
all.
I haven't played pool in a while, but I grew up in the project, so in order, folks don't realize when you grew up in a certain area. So I had friends who are pro basketball players, pro football players. I played with them, but I was never that pro. But when you play from a different aspect, you playing with folks who basically gonna make the pro. So you learn the game good. Everybody else think you're good, but you just okay because such and such is a pro. You're okay in your neighborhood. You're bad in everybody else's neighborhood. You like,
You're
man,
bad in
he
everybody
good.
else's neighborhood.
No, but when you
I'm
playing
here to leave
against,
you alone, Yonder. I got
yeah,
to teach you really quickly. And I know you got to talk to Stan about his books as well and everything. But I'm also thinking that since you mentioned being in the hood, everybody in the hood had two games that they had to be good at and everything like that. And y'all know where I'm going with this. I don't know anybody that grew up in the hood, whether it was a country hood or a city hood, that didn't know how to do marbles or what we call jacks and didn't know how to play the bones, which is dice. They do jack and they do the dice. Am I right,
and see,
Stan?
I could do jacks, but I play spades. I still don't
Yes,
know how to
spades
do
is
See,
a
see,
number.
see,
I
Greg,
still don't know
he's
how to
one
do
of them, he's
bones.
one of those northern guys.
I
See,
still don't know
they
how to
they
do
play
bones, but
spade and bid whist.
I can play cards like no other. I'm bad. Oh, I can play
But you
cards.
know what I'm talking about. Us people in the South, we do jacks and we do the bows. We
That's
do
I
right.
can
dice.
do I can do jacks, but I can do spades. I play spades, chunk, queen, two chunk. Oh, those are my game. My older sister taught me. She probably gonna listen to. Oh, you talking about you can play some spades, man? I used to go with my older sister. We played with she's like almost 10 years older than me. We played against folks who her age. Man, you talk man spades to this day. Though most time when I go to a cookout or something, I won't play spades with people because we played it from a different aspect. It wasn't a game to us.
No,
It
no,
was
no. The spades is not a game because
it was life.
I
So
will
I
say that
don't play
even
when
though
people
it
say I
is
don't
a
play spades.
northern game, it is a game that did make its way south stand. Because I will
Yeah.
say that spades and bidwiz were played a lot on the campus of North Carolina Central
Oh
University,
yeah.
which
Oh
is
yeah.
where Reggie went to school. So a lot of us did learn to play those games on the college campuses.
Oh yeah. We
Yeah.
play we
I
played
don't
a lot
play.
of spades here too.
I don't play spades at cookouts and stuff. Everybody know I'm good because y'all don't understand. This is not a game to us. This is life to us.
This
Really,
is life.
this is life. We play spades like there was gonna be no tomorrow if we lost this
That's
game.
right. That's right. That's right.
Okay, Stan. Look. Let's get to the fun part of this, Stan. That's
Okay.
the business side of it. That's our serious side of it. First of all, send love to the beautiful wife and your daughter and your son. Now
Appreciate
let's
it.
get to your fun side of it.
All right.
This great book, The Tool.
Oh, the tool.
This great book. This great book. Tell us how you came. First of all, tell us how long you've been writing.
Ah, man, I've been writing for, I would say officially, that book came out in 22, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to say that I officially have been writing since about 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have to give credit to Miss Teresa. She publishes the Triumphant magazine locally, and she gave me an opportunity to write my first published article. And the article was titled "Put Some Respect on My Name." I'll never forget it because I saw her a couple weeks ago and she smiled at me and she said, "You remember your article? It's still getting views on her online magazine." So that was my first real crack at writing something that went out to the world. So I've always been a somewhat of a writer. I just didn't realize how much work it took. I took writing for granted
Mm-hmm.
in terms of,
Most people do.
yeah, in terms of writing a novel or any type of manuscript. It's a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
and I was blessed because my original, the book that I've always wanted to write was a finance book. That's my background.
Mm-hmm.
And by me being a person that likes to give and, a teacher at heart, I wanted to make sure that the first book that I wrote had something to do with finance. However, when I began to write that book, I could never gain traction. I never had writer's block. I just could never gain traction. So I would do my research. So one day I did some research and I realized there's thousands and upon thousands of finance books out there, but yet our situation is still the same, in particular in the African American community. So I asked myself one day, I was at my office a little past 5:30, and I just took out a sheet of paper. In fact, I keep that, it was in a notebook. In fact, I keep that notebook with me at all times. So I just sat down and I had a conversation with God. So I said, God, what do you want me to say to the world? And he said, talk about your experiences, talk about your fishing, talk about your life, talk about finance. And I said, no, 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 no. And when God is talking to you, when you hear that small voice, but it shakes you like thunder, he goes, go a little deeper. And I went, well, what do you mean? He goes, your people, and men in particular, are hurting. Be bold. Talk about that. Talk about the experiences. And I thought about it and I had to stop because for the past month before that moment, I've had anywhere between 10 and 15 different men that will walk to my office or call my office just to get advice about what to do because they were either dealing with the divorce or dealing with the breakup or dealing with the family death or dealing with an issue. And you and I both know as men do still cry in the dark, and we have
Yes.
we have but two loves. We either have the love of our mother and the love of our spouses, and if we lose one or the other, we're kind of lost. In terms of a divorce, we're very lost. So I
Yes.
found I did a little before then. I did a lot of research on who actually purchased life insurance, and when I did the research, I realized that between 90 and 95% of the policies that I would write on an annual basis were not purchased by men, they were purchased by women. And I dug into why this was happening. And then I realized that there was this phenomenon going on. Men were tired, men were frustrated. And I went back and I asked these men, hey, do you have life insurance? Do you have an investment plan? Do you have a retirement plan? And majority of them said no. And I asked them why. And their reasons varied, but for the most part, they landed in one central area, and that was, why do I want to leave something to people that don't really love or care about me?
That's
At
deep.
that moment, I realized I've got to do some work. So I went back to my notebook and I began to write some of the sentiments from these men, and I realized something very strong that I wanted to touch on that hasn't been dealt with, and that is, not only do we cry, but we're hurting as men. And when men are hurting, especially in the community like we have, the families struggle because we know that hurting people eventually hurt people.
Hurt people.
So
Yes.
the transition and the cycle, my theory is, let me bring awareness to the cycle, let me bring awareness to the psyche, let me shed some light on the heart and what a man goes through, because most people will never know what a man goes through. You said it before in the podcast, men would rather do it by ourselves. We would rather be alone. We won't share what we're going through. We won't share how much it hurts because we know that we don't talk about our feelings. And that has become a problem. Not only is it a problem in terms of our finance, but it's also become a problem with our health. It's also become a problem with not only our physical health, but also our mental health, in addition to our financial health. So a lot of these things are tied in. So when we're not there physically, when we're not there emotionally, when we're not there mentally, when we're not there financially, it's very, very difficult for our women to pick up the pieces and do it all on their own. And as we know, the track continues. They develop some of them develop masculine tendencies, and then it's difficult for us to reach them again. So it's a cycle that we have to break. We have to have men be stronger than the weakest link. We have to learn that even though you've gone through a divorce or a death, you can get back and you can add to the and be a contributor to our society once again, because everyone wants a leader. Everyone needs that manliness and that what we call that masculine energy in their lives.
That is so true. That is so true. I don't know if I'm revealing something that you haven't decided to put out yet. I know you're working on a children's book for finances.
Yeah.
Are we anticipating that in 2026?
The book is the cover was finished today, believe it or
Oh,
not. The cover was completed today. Believe it or not, my wife and I came up with this concept. We wanted to tell a story, but we wanted to make sure that the story had a purpose. It wasn't just a story for the purposes of stories. The purpose was to build millionaires, because that's my dream, is to create a millionaire every day. And if I can start with children, if I can teach this stuff at a fourth grade level, then we can teach it to anybody. So
yes.
that the whole idea is was to create a book that when I'm talking, I can hand this book out or offer this book, and people could understand the concept in very simplistic terms, extremely simplistic terms, and they can do the math on their own. And we have a platform that we can discuss some of the key elements, because I included about 6 or 7 of the key elements of investing in this children's book, but I made it so easy that a fourth grader can pick it up. In fact, I tested the book. I did a beta test on the book at a local elementary school. And when I asked the children, what did the book tell you? They all answered exactly what the purpose of the book is. And I won't tell you what that is. I'll let you figure that out.
Okay, let me plug you for a minute. Please get in contact with this man to guest speak at your local events, your church, and everything. It's Stan, the insurance, the insurance.net, and his phone number is 386-427-5277. Please, this is something that not only our community needs, we need this as a whole, as a people. I mean, everyone needs this. Everyone needs to know how to get to the next step. And if we teach the kids teach us. Each one teach one. And Brother Stan has broken this down into a fourth grade level. All reading, I was telling my daughter this other day, most books are only written in the eighth grade level. You broke it down to fourth grade level. That's straight elementary. You have to get this information. Please get in contact with Stan, the insurance man, insurance.net. And please go to his phone number, 386-427-5277. This man is breaking off knowledge and trying to do generational wealth. We don't have that in our communities. Let's make this in all our communities. Our folks have come with all sorts of wheels and all sorts of money before they got here. Let's start breaking the chain and make our generational wealth for our kids. Just keep on going on down the line. We're gonna have to worry about a whole lot of this nonsense with the government and what's going on right now. If you already have your own wealth, you don't have to worry about the other nonsense.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me, you said you started writing there. Okay, so storyline. I know the storyline. This is a novella, so I'm assuming that this is not your first book of this series.
This is the first book of this
I mean, it's
particular
not
series.
your this is not your only book of the series. You're coming up with other books from the series.
Right. The second book has begun.
Okay.
If if the stars line up, we'll be able to make it work. Um, but that is truly the beginning. And to be honest with you, Yonder, folks like yourself, folks like Donna Banks, folks like Angie, folks like Kareem, just folks that are part of the Fresh Book Festival, and there's so many to name. And I apologize if I forgot anybody by
Just
name.
say fresh. They know
Just
who
stay
talk.
fresh.
Everybody from fresh.
Everybody at Fresh and Fresh will celebrate its 15th year. Fresh Book Festival will celebrate its 15th year here in 2026 at the end of January here in Daytona
Yes.
Beach, Florida. So, for 15 years, in fact, for the last 11 years, I have sponsored and supported this program, not only for books, but the arts, the film, because I believe that, literacy, you know, and we have a tribe, and literacy is really it. If we're illiterate, we can't communicate.
Not
So,
at all.
and you guys have inspired me to the point, and you inspired me so much that I said, let me just write something. But I want to, anything that I do, I try to make it impactful and meaningful. So when I wrote this book, I couldn't believe, because when I reread it after editing for months, I tears came to my eyes. To be honest with you, after I read it from cover to cover, I couldn't realize that I actually created such a thing. Now, granted, I had a lot of help in creating this, a lot of editing, and a lot of help, and a lot of people putting their input in. So it wasn't me all by myself, and I had tremendous supporters. And I would have to give credit to Miss Tony Bonita, one of my premier supporters. And that young lady, she's a reader, and she's one of the best people to know if you are a writer, because she will put you on the straight and narrow. So I do give a lot of homage, and I didn't think that I would be doing what I did. And Yonda, as we were invited to do a few anthologies. So I've written one anthology, two
Now
anthologies,
you in
three
two, you in two.
anthologies.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I've done a number of anthologies, participated in anthologies, a number of speaking engagements. The children's book is now complete. Before you know it, I have a plethora of books. I may be as famous as you, Yonder, one of
No,
these
but
days.
but but let me tell you this. Let me give you your flowers now. I say this all the time. I do numerous book signings. Say I've been out 21 years. So let's say I meet 1,000 people per year. 1,000 times 21 is 21,000 people. I know maybe 20 people that have books out. So that means 20,900 and 80 people didn't write books.
Wow. Wow.
So you're one of very few. I said, and I'm underestimating. I probably meet more than 1,000 people a year. But
Right.
if you do that, look how little that percentage is.
Yeah, that's a good percentage and everything. I know we're going to wrap up because I actually got to run to meet a person that's into blues and collection of music and everything like that. So I know y'all are winding down. But Stan, how can folks get a copy of the book and everything like that? Because that's what I want to know is where I can get a copy of the book. And of course, we're going to add your stuff to the network with the anglers because I do know some fishermen and everything like that. But how can we get a copy of your book?
So I have my website is called thetoolmanipulation.com. You can order the copy directly through me. We can actually have that book signed and shipped to you. We're available on Amazon, or you can just give me a call and we can do the order directly over the phone at 386-427-5277.
Sounds great and everything. I'm gonna let y'all wrap up with it. Yeah, it's about time to wrap up because I know my buddy Ray's getting ready to come and grab me and everything like that. But we're almost at the hour.
Okay, cool. Well, Stan, the way I always like to end this is I don't feel that this is an interview. I call it conversations with friends because friends don't. I don't write down anything. I just come straight from the hip and hit it from there. Write me down some notes as we're going through. With all the things you do, from insurance to being a husband to being a father to being a mentor, leave something for folks to go on. Leave them with something to grab onto.
I would say this: the world right now seems like it's crazy, that it's falling apart. There's a lot of things out there that we're uncertain about. I would say hold on to God's unchanging hands.
Mm.
Stay committed and stay committed to God's word. There's a lot of things out there that are only intended to distract us. Remember, that demon is here to steal, kill, and destroy. And in that still killing and destroying, it includes an element of distraction. So let's not be distracted. Let's keep our minds and our hearts focused on God and focus on God's word, not the word of man, but the word of God, because it is ever there. It is not changing, and it is strong.
Thank you. The door is always open for you. My cousin, I present to you Stan Harrison, Stan the Insurance Man. Thank you all for having us. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Thank you again, and thank you again for Stan for coming. The door is always open. Whenever you need to come back, you need to plug a product, you need to plug a book. I'm a phone call away, man.
You got it, brother. I really appreciate this, man, and I had a great time. Thank you for allowing us.
Thank you, man. Love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
All right. Thanks.
Peace.